Worse than that.
I had a high fever last week.
Now we're officially on record and recording and calling the meeting to order with John and Michael here and Chip is here and I am here. So I think the first thing we should do is to decide on a chair.
I nominate John Bullion.
Second.
Okay. So let's see, motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I have to just keep up.
Oh, we may have to do roll call because I'm on Zoom.
Okay,
Okay, so aye, and then Mike. Aye,
Aye, Mike Nyden.
and aye.
okay. Okay, so normally we would go through a bunch of administrative things, but I think today we were planning to just give you both an overview of what it is we do and how we do it and what you're going to be doing and so forth. So do you, so I guess first thing, we should probably come up with a meeting time and day.
Okay.
So
Well, how often, what's generally the ebbs and flows of meeting schedule throughout the course of the calendar year, shall we say?
Well, now until, well, no, what is it, February? When we get the abatement applications. And then through when we're done, so April, May, that's probably the most times. You do once a week typically, right?
Yeah, we generally, depending on the number of abatement applications we have, because I mean, that's your primary purpose and, you know, from January, end of January, February, March, usually into right around this time. It will take us that long to get through the abatement applications. And after that, we generally, people who have been denied or have not been granted what they think they should have can call and set up an appointment to come in and talk to the board, usually in an evening, sometime in the first week or two of May. And they'll sit down with the board, they'll make their case that I don't think the application should have been denied for this reason, that reason, or the other thing, and you'll make a decision on that, you know, you'll take it under advisement, make a decision. And after that, until the following until December, when the tax rate is being set. And John, you're familiar with the classification hearings, obviously. That's the next real job that the board has. And at that point, the tax rate is approved and we go into abatement season. So most of the summer, there's really, unless something comes up, we don't have meetings. Again, something can come up at any point and, you know, any one of you can request a meeting and we'll go from there. We're mainly thinking, do we want to keep the 9 o'clock time slot? You know, for example, did you hear me talking about the deferrals earlier?
I caught the tail end of that.
Okay, that's one of the remaining things that has to be done by the board is to approve these deferrals. And, you know, say we had a meeting for next Thursday morning, probably take less than an hour to go through those. Because again, most of them are repeats. People who have been deferring for years. Are you familiar with the deferrals?
To some degree, I used to be more familiar, but it's fallen off my radar. I know that we have do we have a committee that goes through and takes applications for referrals?
No, that's something different.
Okay, that's okay.
This is a state,
This is the state deferral program.
state deferral program.
Yep.
Where someone can defer all or part of their taxes as long as they meet certain standards, as far as income goes. And a great number of them are repeaters. And Nancy in our office will vet all the applications before you guys even see them. And again, they're repeaters, so it's pretty much, you know, a slam dunk. When we do get a new one, Nancy again will vet it to make sure that they meet the income requirements, which is the primary requirement. And, you'll vote on that, for some reason, if they submit, sometimes we find they'll submit their taxes and their income will be below the standard, but then you'll see something on the tax return that they have $10,000 in dividends and interest. Okay, which tells us that there's something backing up that $10,000 in dividends and interest that may put them over the asset limit. Okay, in other words, you've got a $500,000 nest egg. Even though your income for the year is below what it should be, your assets are over, so those are, wouldn't qualify. And there are several other statutory exemptions that the board has discretion over. One of them is called Clause 18, and it is for age, infirmity, and poverty. So you have to have all three.
Mhm.
And the board has some leeway on age. There's nothing in the statute that says it has to be 65. Infirmity is usually, there's a doctor's note that goes along with it. And, poverty is, again, somewhat open to interpretation. So the board, there aren't a lot of those. And again, I believe the ones we have, they have been on the program for a long time. And the boards in the past, going back in the last 30 years that I've been here, on those applications have had the policy that the taxpayer will pay 10% of their tax bill. Okay, in other words, $5,000 tax bill, they're gonna pay 500 and the rest of it is written off. That's something that you will have to decide as a body amongst yourselves. On
So
this-
it's not it's not delayed, it's a complete write-off,
Right, except for the 10%.
except for the
The
10%.
prior boards, and again, that's not a statute. That's something that the boards for years have adapted, have done,
Okay,
going back to, well, I've been here since 92, so. They were doing it at that point, but again, that is something that you guys will have to discuss amongst yourselves. If you want to continue that, if you want to make it 0%, 15%, whatever the case may be.
I mean, Chip, if somebody has, say, they've got a house that's worth $1 million, which is pretty much every house in town, and they don't owe anything on it, and they've got a tax bill of $10,000, but they live on Social Security, why wouldn't we move towards the deferral as opposed to an outright exemption when somebody has assets of that size? Because the fact is that I understand that the interest rate, I think it's still 4%.
On deferral, yes.
On deferral. So, it's still, people are still, and with the increases in values, people are still coming out ahead on equity. So I guess we're going to get into this and we'll look at it on a case-by-case basis. Okay.
Yeah, as I say, I believe there's only 3 of them. And I think all 3 are fairly long-termers. I can't remember the specifics, but there's one person who's been bedridden for 20 years, has, care coming in, that type of thing. There's another one who has, I guess you'd call it agoraphobia. Doesn't come out of the house at all. It's a very small
Yeah.
condo.
Yeah.
So again, those are things that can be discussed. But I just bring up the 10% because that has been what boards have done in the past, but it is not something you're obligated to continue.
would
Okay.
it be possible to get a copy confidentially of each situation? I mean,
Oh, yeah, they submit that with the application.
yeah, because, before we even comment whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, the big thing for me is to know the process, is to understand before I can even comment.
Yeah, what you're gonna see in one of those Clause 18A applications is you're gonna see a doctor's note.
Yeah.
That this person is incapable of working.
Yeah.
Incapable of mobility. You're gonna see an income tax return that probably shows they don't have to file income tax returns because there's a form that they don't have an income. And again, the age is something that the board has discretion on.
Yeah, I think that's a whole separate meeting.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, these applications, again, we don't have a lot of them. The deferrals we have more of, but they're declining over time.
Yeah.
Why, I don't know, because it's a great deal. It's better than a reverse mortgage.
Yeah,
But a lot of people don't want to take advantage of it simply because it requires a lien being put on the property by the town. So they will be paid back when the property is sold. And, a lot of people, I don't want to do that to my kids. And, you know, we've had kids come in complaining that they didn't know mom and dad were on the program for 20 years and, you know, they're gonna
They
get
owe
a tax bill
yeah,
for $50,000, but they also don't realize that mommy and daddy paid 50 grand for the house that's now worth $1 million.
right.
So,
Right.
you know, they're still doing okay, but, again, those deferrals are the one thing that is left to be done by the board. And, you know, if you want to meet next Thursday or whenever it's convenient for you guys, we can get those out of the way and the season will basically be over, except for taxpayers who call and would like to sit down with the board to review their denial. And I know
I
that-
could do next Thursday at 9 if Mike can.
Just back there. That's the 20th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That works conditionally.
Mhm.
So,
That work, Mike?
It does conditionally. I have to just double check one other thing. I have an appointment in Boston. I might have an appointment in Boston, but
I mean,
I'll know
I've got
that-
flexibility
I'll
as
know
long
that
as,
at the end of
as long as we can, you know, look ahead on the calendar, you know, I mean, that's fine, whatever you guys want to do. I mean, Chip, I'm not sure what your schedule is. Generally,
Yeah, I've been here Tuesdays and Thursdays. You know, what schedule I'm gonna keep at this point, I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
okay.
Give me 1 second and I can confirm that. Well, I'm gonna have to get back to you. I'm pretty sure I'm okay.
Well, I mean, can post
Who
it.
should I get back to?
So that would be me.
Okay,
Check the rooms.
Oh, that's right.
Whenever we do meetings, I have to check to make sure Zoom is available and the room is available. So Zoom and room.
Zoom in a room.
And it looks like the room is available on Thursday from 8 to 10. It's actually available 8 to 12, but we don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Mike, if you need, a you know, a little bit later, that's fine too.
I just have to, and for some reason, my phone's not working real well here. I'm pulling in some appointments. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's no problem. I mean, we could just always go ahead and post the meeting. We just have to meet the posting
Yeah.
requirements.
Yep,
Um,
so let's go ahead with it. It's a low probability that I can't meet. Not
Do we have a
understanding.
statutory time period by which these applications have to be adjudicated?
yes, we got the abatement applications, yes. And we've basically done all the abatement applications. I guess there are a couple left. They were looking for more information from the taxpayer. That will have to be reviewed, but I think we're still within the statutory timeframe. They have 3 months from the date of filing. In other words, if they file February 1st, They've got till we've got till May 1st to respond. Are you familiar with the filing period for abatements?
No,
Okay, it's from the date of the mailing of the third quarter tax bill, which is usually the last week in December, until February 1st at 5 o'clock.
okay,
It's a very strict date because there have been issues in the past, that they say, a large corporation, we're talking, $100 million property they always file at the last minute. And there have been issues over the years as to, can they file FedEx, that type of thing. It was finally decided that USPS postmark is it. That's the only thing, and we'll get things that are postmarked February 1st that don't show up till February 7th in our office. But as long as they've got the USPS postmark, they're good. But we try to keep it a very
okay,
strict. Actually, there was one filing I looked at this year that they filed it after 5 o'clock here, but in their time zone, it was before 5 o'clock.
okay.
And I couldn't remember, it was Texas. I couldn't remember whether Texas is 1 hour behind us or 2 hours behind us.
Right, right.
And if they'd been 2 hours behind us, we would have been good, but they're not, so. It gets a little tricky.
Well, I'm almost to give you the. Yeah. I'm good. For that date.
Now, what I was thinking about, if we have a few minutes, you guys have never seen any of these abatement applications and kind of what we do to present to you at a meeting. I was gonna, John, I know it's gonna be hard for you because they're paper, and I was just gonna use some of the ones we've reviewed recently to give you an idea of, what we do. We look at and you can have these in advance.
So you can email them to us.
We can, that or drop them off, if you want the
Is-
paper.
Is email possible?
Yes,
We're gonna be doing more emailing than.
Okay, all right, now, because my workflow lends itself to that.
okay, that's fine. So you can review the applications that we're planning on doing at the next meeting.
Yeah,
Because some of them, there's tons of verbiage and, we look at it and then, make recommendations as to why or why not we think it should be approved or not. But, try and give you an example
Which
here.
one do you have? I'll pull it up.
What?
Which one do you have? I can pull it up.
I have number
Oh,
4.
wait a minute. If we're gonna do that, we have to go to executive session. So,
Because when we do these, we go to executive session.
So- okay, so we did that, we did the schedule. We have no topics. Okay, so what we would do then is go to executive session. And
Under which
so,
is there an exception by which we go under executive, or it's just to discuss abatement applications?
I'm about to read you the exact chapter and section. And there'll be no decisions made, so we can adjourn and not come back to public session. So we would be looking for a motion to go into executive session to comply with the provisions of any general or special law, specifically to discuss real estate and personal property exemption and or abatement applications which are not open to public inspection per Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 60, and to not return to the public meeting.
So moved. Do I have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in, roll call, executive session. Mike? Yes. Yay. The chair is yes, and we're in executive session.
Okay, so first need to stop the session, so you'll need to re-enter. Well, actually, there's no one here. So you know what, we'll stop the recording and you can stay where you are.
Okay.
And we'll go into executive session at 9:25. So.